The core concern of all these parents is who will look after the child after we are not there. A parent is never ready for autism because it is very different from disability. When there is neurodivergent behavior which is not acceptable by your social standard, do not stare.
There are few people in India who have dedicated their lives towards working for neurodivergent kids. One such individual who is with us today is Gargi Bhattacharya, who runs a facility in Bhubaneswar for autistic kids and also has a lot of plans going forward on how she wants to make these children and their parents more comfortable, ease out their lives. I want to introduce Gargi to the audience. Welcome to Free Press Journal. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Afrida.
Gargi, I want to begin by asking you, Zain Foundation that you have founded, how did it start and what exactly does the foundation do?
So Zain was the name of our older son. We lost him to brain cancer in 2014, and a few days before he went into coma, he said that I'm not going to be here for long and I want you to make a home for my younger brother who has autism, my younger son. I want you to make a home for him and his friends. I think he meant his friends mean other kids with autism. I didn't think much about that, but Zain finally passed away, and to think that he had the maturity to understand that his parents depended on him to take care of his special sibling. So we took that up after he passed away, and we formed the Zain Foundation, and it was like you keep his name alive and the intention alive, and parents like me, which is really increasing. There's a huge community. The core concern of all these parents is who will look after the child after we are not there.
True.
So Zain Foundation became an organization, a charitable trust, the mission of which is to have a residential place for adults with autism, where they are looked after for the rest of their lives, because no matter how functional the child is as an adult, they need social and emotional protection, and no one person can give it to them unless they're in a social group with proper caregivers, and that is what the foundation
You
is
must
meant to
have had to train yourself, learn about autism and neurodivergent kids to do this, because now it's not one child, you're dealing with so many.
Yeah. So my experience, my journey of 22 years with my son with autism, and along the way I have met many families.
You've also done psychology, I believe, as part. So that's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, interesting coincidence. Yeah. And I chose to write a thesis on autism after my master's, because there was very little taught about autism. I didn't know life was going to pan out such, but but a parent is never ready for autism because it is Afrida, very different from disability. Though it is clubbed under disability, laws are made for disability including autism. Like disability comes with its if I can say props, like a wheelchair or calipers or a hearing aid or a stick for the blind, or even if it's cerebral palsy you can see and make out, or even if it is Down syndrome you can see the features and make out Mongoloid child. But autism does not come with any such equipment, and sometimes it is difficult to tell that a person is autistic unless you have interacted with a person. So, and even if you instruct all the people on the disability sector, if you're instructing them, get up from the chair, open the door, go get a glass of water and come in and sit, they will all understand, they will all do it according to their own reaction time and speed. But somebody with autism will not understand the instruction at first. That person will need training 13, 14, 20, 30 times. Training with those two words, get up, open the door, so that training, and only then will they learn to listen. So rules cannot be made, similar
So
for
those are your
disability.
challenges then.
A huge
Because
challenge.
that is
Yeah.
what the children come with, and
Yeah.
each one will be different from the
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
So what is the kind of numbers that you have now, and what are the kind of facilities the children who are with Zain Foundation, what are the facilities they have?
So, numbers, I'll tell you a little bit about data. Um, many organizations have wanted to fund, but the question is always how many children do you have and what is the data. So in autism, the data is all misconstrued because it is such a social shame for a family to have somebody with autism. It is much more shameful that blind or tuberculosis or Down syndrome, because the child at first is not speaking. People are asking why aren't they speaking, and the parents are ashamed whether they're educated or not. When they're educated, it's more of a shame. So there is a lot of denial in these families to say that yes, there is somebody with autism. So we don't have data. Either with the government or with private sectors, we don't have proper data for autism. And so if you ask me how many children are there in Zain Foundation, I would say none. So the foundation exists very much, very loud. I would say, without being modest, that Zain Foundation has single-handedly raised awareness for autism in my state of Orissa, also a lot in the country. And there are schools that are trying to include, because every batch in Montessori, they have 7-8 children with autism, and then the others with dyslexia and whatever other dyscalculia and all that.
I saw you have a cafe and you encourage them to be part of activities which interact with regular lot of people, or
So then
tell us about that.
Yes, so and like as children, you take them to parks and then they enjoy themselves in sensory parks or whatever games you design for them, or take them out for a drive, or take them to eat something. Food they understand very well. But as they step into adolescence and adulthood, there is a need to get them into a vocation. To keep them engaged in something according to their skills, but we take a long time to figure out what the skill is. You're trying to teach somebody to say stick envelopes and make envelopes together. You do a good job, but the fellow might be a mathematician, but you haven't figured that out as yet. You might take a lifetime to figure it out. So when they're turning into adults, the parents are also aging with them, and they are also getting anxious, like how to streamline them, what to do. So I thought of cafe because food is something very invigorating. When they do cake mixing and things like that, there's a sensory battle in autism. Okay, so like your 5 senses are working together, they're processing, and then you're communicating. So they have a sensory highway where everything is fired. Like supposing you are feeling a breeze and listening to the breeze, me with autism will hear it like a storm. And you're able to wear jeans. I might be able to wear jeans, but somebody like me with autism might feel like there are insects crawling up their legs, and they can never wear full pants. And
the fact that you have processed it and you've understood it, and your level of empathy, I am afraid I have to admit, someone like me would not get it. So you would face so many situations, Gargi, if you have to say take your child to a place, to a public place, without your level of understanding and empathy. I'm sure people are not giving you the sort of inclusivity or the environment that a child with autism requires.
yeah, I would say it's a blessing. I've been like this since I was a child. I think I was designed to be with this group of people, and therefore a child like this. I mean, I am an atheist, but there are, very strange ways that the universe functions. I was supposed to do that, and I'm not alarmed or I'm not depressed ever. And I enjoy a lot of trust from the parent group, because it's always everything's always funny, and you learn to laugh at your children, and somebody's cutting onions at the cafe, they're making gupchup, and somebody's eyes are watering and they're refusing to go because they're liking that sensation, but the others have run out. So we just laugh at it, and the mothers have developed a killer sense of humor.
Wow.
That's the way they keep themselves, up
Yeah,
and about.
yeah.
And we've designed a lot of activities where the mothers go and then they go into the salon, or we go out together, and they need to chill, because these
Absolutely.
mothers are mothers who have given up careers for their children, and it's a lifetime thing.
Absolutely.
They need people like, people of my age, with the same incident, to tell them that it's all right. It's all right. I mean, don't waste yourself. Do what you can, because nothing's going to change. Give them as much training. So this Pex Cafe. So there they are, when they're doing cake mixing, so they're olfactory and they're tactile and everything is working together. They know it's going to go into the oven, and after 20 minutes there's something that's going to come out which is going to be like heavenly. So they are very happy doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you would have applied your mind to what sort of things that can, have
simple.
them
Yeah.
engaged and
Yeah.
meaningfully and productively
Yeah.
involved. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful, Gargi. I must appreciate. I want to come to the point of how, when this is again a comfort zone, right? I want to come to the point of what happens when you step out, when you and your neurodivergent kid steps out. What are the challenges you face, and let's also make others aware from your
Right.
point of view.
Right. So whenever I'm asked to speak, I always make a request to the parents, that yes, it's very tough and it's easier to say than do, but train yourself to feel less shame for your child. It is not your fault, it is not the child's fault, but there is a living thing, and there is this person for whom you feel so much love like no other, right? It's your child, and you have to put in efforts to integrate that beautiful individual in your world, and you have to train the society to accept them, because these numbers are really increasing. Afrida, it was 1 in 10,000 children in 1971. 10 years back it was 1 in 300. 2 years back it was 1 autistic child in 38. Last year it is 1 in 24.
Is it because more people are now coming
More
out?
diagnosis, yes,
Diagnosis?
but
Ah.
definitely much more
Much
incidents
more?
as well.
Okay.
And taking a child out into the public space like you asked, I think my child has been lucky because he has never faced dejection at home. I have a supportive husband, and my in-laws have been very supportive, very affectionate, more affectionate towards Rian than the rest. But it's not always the case in Indian families. The mother is blamed for producing a child like that, and the father escapes. And so we have always taken our child out, and he's very well settled at parties with music, and because he's with his parents, they're partying till late at night, or you're going for shopping, or you're doing something. He has his funny movements and behavior, but when people look, I just indicate to them that let him be, and but
Yeah, that
most
look
families,
you were talking about
yeah,
it, that people
yeah,
have a tendency to look and look again, and maybe there is
Yeah.
some amount of natural human curiosity, but then one must learn
Yeah,
to actually,
yeah.
know that
Yeah.
what you're doing can cause a lot of perhaps a negative reaction
Yes.
in someone else, and I think intrinsically sometimes you know it and yet you do it.
Yes, yes.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Have you faced that?
Can I just give you a story? So there is this person I know back home. He is now 33, 34, and he has a problem when he sees balloons, when he sees anything packed in an aluminium thing like chips packets. So he sees that and he clamps his ears like that. And then if he goes close, he might behave like as if there's a tiger approaching him.
Yeah.
And for people around him who are doing their activities, say like buying, say grocery, they are like surprised and they're looking at him, and his mother or father, whoever is there, they want to pull him back and not have him behave like that. But what is happening to him is he is imagining, he is not able to tolerate the crinkly sound of the packet, or he's looking at the balloon and thinking when it bursts it's going to make that dump sound, and he's not able to process it properly auditorily, and it's like a nuclear blast in his brain. Yeah, and who's going to know that other than the parent? And so it is for the parent and for people like the parent to educate, say the staff working at the mall, and for us who are going through this, to educate everybody that when there is neurodivergent behavior which is not acceptable by your social standards, do not stare. So the moment you stare, the mother is anxious, the mother pulls, is rough because she cannot tolerate that shame. She pulls and she might just spank him. Then he gets more upset, lies down on the floor, and there is a situation which is completely out of control. And the mother in the future will take the child out less and less and less.
So that is the vicious cycle we have to avoid, and the society has a role to play. The very idea of this conversation, Gargi, is to open out these matters and let people know that look, you may think it's a stare, but for somebody else, like you explained, it can lead to a whole lot of problems. So I mean, training the people, the staff is one thing, but also for everyone else to understand that there are big words thrown around about being inclusivity. These are very small things that we can do. It's not like a huge project that anybody has to take up, but everybody at their individual level, probably, if they understand this. I want to come to a couple of last questions. One about the parent support group, because I do understand, like you said, and you brought it out so many times, that there's a level of element of shame, there's an element of denial, and parents don't have to go through it alone. Can you tell us how far are we from creating that solid support base, support system, support groups like other countries have in India?
In India, we are very far away from that, Afrida. We are, one basic thing that I understand is everybody has their own life, everybody has their own spate of problems, and everybody is trying to survive and do well for themselves. Now to also, appoint a little bit of yourself towards a community which is not very well understood, because if 3 of you are blind, I know how to treat 3 of you. If 3 of you have fever, or if you are deaf and dumb, I know how to treat or how to go about helping you in some way. I know what to do. But if 3 of you have autism, each one is different. So I don't know, and we don't expect society to understand so much. Or even as a group of mothers, I know the kids who have now become adults because I've seen them from the time they're small. But it takes a long time to know a fresh adult or a fresh child, unless you have very honest feedback from the parents. And so when the society at large is concerned, because you need to accept them, we're not asking you to understand them, but we're just asking you to train yourself with a little bit of kindness and say it's okay. Like if I'm sitting
here,
give a
vibe of it's okay. You don't even have to utter it.
So if I'm sitting here and I'm a good child with autism, I'm a good adult with autism, I follow commands and everything, but I'm unable to stop this. I'm unable to stop it. So the thing is not to take notice or just do this. From time, and I'll do it 100 times more. But in the 101st time, I might not do it. So we're not expecting the society to practice that kind of patience, but not to get alarmed, because it's really become a way of life. I see it
worse still,
everywhere.
Not to react harshly.
Harshly. Or just look at this parent and smile. This morning at the airport, there was a boy against a pillar, and he was be 17, 18, he was rubbing himself. They need that tactile texture thing. He was continuously doing that. And his mother, was very calm, standing next to him and looking at people just to protect him, from those stares, just, to protect him. So I looked at her and I smiled and I did that and she did that.
You instantly knew that I know what you are at, and I relate to you without uttering a word. I think that's beautiful, Gargi. That's really beautiful. And I hope that, people who, everybody knows how a neurodivergent kid can be. We are all exposed to certain behaviors, or we have seen it socially. Idea is for us also, for the rest of society, to understand that there is a certain way that situations can be, like you just explained, if you can just do this instead of giving any other reaction, or give a smile to the mother. That is so beautiful. Thanks for explaining that to us, because this is the sort of message I wanted you to communicate in the larger context, as someone who understands autistic kids so well. Entire month of April is an autism month, right? World Autism Month. So globally now, of course, awareness is high, and as I always say, that conversations are important. Any one last thing you would want to communicate to parents and to those who have the powers for a foundation like Zain Foundation to survive, to continue doing its work? What would be required?
Thank you. Yeah. My message to the society would be to it is a very difficult thing to accept behavior which is not socially acceptable for you, right? I cannot be, sitting here on my head with my legs on top and speaking to you. It's not acceptable. But if somebody with autism comes along, he might have very different behavior, but to train ourselves in some way to not be harsh, because when you are approaching a person with autism with kindness, you actually spill that kindness onto the family.
Wow,
and when you're being harsh, you are actually giving them anxiety, giving them feelings of regret. Why did I get this guy
and
out?
the shame will only increase.
Yeah,
I mean, what is the
yeah.
point? We want
Yes.
that sense of shame, that sense of denial
Yeah.
should disappear. I mean,
Yeah.
like you so well said, that it's not your fault, it's not your
Yeah.
child's fault, it's just
Yeah.
how it is. And
Yeah.
this sort of a support group where you said that the mothers coming together and
Yeah.
they take a moment to have
Yeah.
find humor in those
Yeah.
situations. I
Yeah.
think this is something we can learn.
Yeah, and there's great friendship there, and there's great strength there. And I'm looking after your child, you're looking after that one's child, and the world is going to be like this. This community is increasing. At least back in my state, it is coming around beautifully, and even the ones with younger kids are getting to know how they will be when they grow up. There will be this little bit of unacceptability always, and how it is important for them to have a social group in one place. Eventually a parent always fights that, okay, normal school. When the child grows up a little more, like I say in Zain Foundation, our motive is health and happiness. We're not going to look at anything else, because these are the only two things, that and a sense of dignity. That is what the parents want for their child. So we will work towards that. And everywhere the service industry, like airports and malls and whatever else, they don't have the luxury to make a mistake with somebody like that. So they have to accept, they must.
Yeah,
because the numbers are increasing so much, they must.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that a lot of parents devote a lot of time, money, energy probably, going around doing the rounds of the doctors, therapies. To what extent is that necessary, and to what extent does it help?
So there are a lot of therapies that work to recover the child. They should be given very early in life, when suspicion starts. Why is the child not behaving this way, responding to his name, looking at my eye, or why is the child walking on their toes? There are many indications. The parent knows, but the parent in his or her heart denies at the age of 2, 3. Instead of denying, the person should take them to first to a doctor, and the doctor says therapist. So speech therapy, cognitive therapy, behavior therapy
Does
is
it
a
help?
24-hour thing. It does help. Then sensory integration therapy, everything should be given to the child attacked. The child should be attacked by all that together, and the child recovers a lot.
With that
And
intervention
yes,
is required.
Yes, but the thing about this is, any one parent has to give up their career goals. It has to happen like that.
It has to be
Because nobody else
mission.
will have that focus of attention. Nobody will have. No
But
doctor.
things do
nothing.
improve.
They do improve. They do improve.
As long as you have one dedicated parent who's willing
Yes,
to take that
yes,
journey.
yes. But nobody else other than the parent will look at it so meticulously.
Absolutely.
So,
The progress reports,
yeah,
like how
yeah.
we look at their academic
Yeah,
records. It's
yeah.
almost something like that, and you have to monitor the progress and keep
yes,
at it.
Yes, and another thing I would want to tell mothers especially, that if you give up your career in these early days of the child growing up, you can always get back to your career. It's never late. And I want to get back to a career when I'm 60 years old. It's not late. I just
So
realize
nice
I have
of
to
you
keep
to say
myself
that,
healthy and happy. It's not about, it's the willingness to do.
Yeah, and trust the process.
Yeah,
like I
trust the
have taken
yes,
breaks,
yes.
career breaks for my
Yeah.
children, and I always thought that, well, if I have it in me, if there is skill, there will always be work
Yeah.
for me to get back to.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's also an important message,
Yeah,
Gargi. Thank you
yeah.
so much, and like I said,
Thank
may your
you.
tribe grow and may Zain Foundation grow. Wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you.